Arg! Ahoy there, matey! Welcome aboard the world of boating.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
I was just looking into buying a boat of my own.
Call World of Boating toll-free now at 1-8888-28-BOAT. That's 1-888-828-BOAT.
And welcome. This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Barry the Boater, Mike the Mariner, rounding out the crew as we navigate the latest boating news and information, and basically share a few, personal stories that might help you avoid the same mistakes, for instance, that Barry the Boater made this week, because he had an incident with his battery on his vessel, on his 17-foot Triumph, because he's
center
had it
console.
He's had it in storage in his garage, and he pulled it out finally, just to test some things to get it water ready, and next thing you know,
Not exactly. What happened is that, remember last week we talked about one of Mike's friends who had gone out in his yacht and wanted to move it, and he had fuel issues?
Yes.
Okay, so the fuel that's in my boat, every time I go out, when I come back, I top it off with the highest grade I can, and I also put in stabilizer.
Right.
The reason why I top it off is to keep as little airspace in there as possible.
Mm-hmm. Good plan.
The fuel has been in there for a little over a year now, and I did do a sniff test. You can smell bad gas.
Really?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a good idea for you to do this all the time.
What is good how do you tell the difference between a good gas smell and a bad gas smell? They both smell horrid.
Well,
tacos, either tacos or burritos.
Right.
Well, but honestly, I mean, you know what good gas smells like. When you're pumping your car, you could smell it, right?
Okay, if you say
okay,
so.
when you're filling your car or your truck, in your case, you can smell good gas. Bad gas is if, let's say you had a lawnmower sitting in your garage for the past 4 years, and you opened up the gas thing, it would have a vinegary, sour type of smell to it.
So kind of
like a mixer for a martini kind of a thing. Or?
Oh, I don't know. I don't drink martinis.
After you had Mexican for lunch, a couple hours later, you a little kickback, and you.
Sounds like something you are accustomed to doing.
I'm just saying, gas smells hideous regardless.
It does, but it does have a different taste. It gets sour when it goes bad.
What are you doing tasting gas?
Really?
That's not.
This is not a good
example.
That
explains so much, though, with Barry the Boater, I must say.
Next, he's going to talk about sitting back and lighting a cigar and blowing up his garage.
Gosh. I've heard of people, running their engines on moonshine and stuff like that, but I don't think you're supposed to sip it, especially if you think there's gasoline in there, Barry. But
probably not.
But you've been doing this, so you can taste the difference and smell the difference between good gas
I didn't
and
say
bad gas.
I didn't.
You did.
No.
You said you smelled it, and you could tell the difference between.
You could tell the
gas.
difference between good and bad gas. It smells sour. All right. So anyhow,
sour.
So I wanted to take the boat out, and instead of driving all the way to the ocean, which is a good hour's drive there, an hour's drive back, an hour and a half of cleaning just to burn gas, I live 10 minutes from Everglades Holiday Park.
Okay.
Which not only is close, but it's freshwater, so it's a lot less cleaning. It doesn't mean I wouldn't clean the boat or flush the engine, but it would give me the chance to burn off some of this old fuel and put in some fresh fuel.
Okay.
So I started looking around the boat this morning, and I wanted to put the battery on charge because I charge it every couple of months. And when I put my charger on, the first thing I noticed is there's a little date sticker on there when you buy it.
Yeah.
And it said May 2019.
On your charger?
No, on the battery.
Okay.
Okay, that's the born-on date, we'll call it, May 2019.
All right.
So do the math. What month are we in now, and what year are we in now?
Well, you got about 4 or 5 years on it. Okay.
5 years on the battery. I put the charger on, and I noticed that after a while, it wasn't pulling any more than the 5 amps that it normally pulls. About 10 amps when it's charging. This time, it was only pulling about 5 amps, and the wires were getting warm.
Yeah.
I mean, I measured it with a thermal temperature gun, and they were at 130 degrees.
What did it smell like and taste like?
No, I didn't smell it. I didn't taste it.
You didn't get your tongue stuck on the terminal.
Yeah,
No, I didn't do that. I
That's what
didn't
I
do
figured
that
he
either.
does.
But those wires are not supposed to get hot.
Mm.
Okay,
No,
what
they are
it's
not.
telling me is that there is probably a shorted cell in there,
Yeah.
and all I'm doing is cooking it. So I took a top off. I used my hydrometer to measure the electrolyte, and it measured like water. So this thing is it's toasted. The battery's gone.
Mm. Well, that's,
So
that's too
I
bad.
disassembled it, took it out of the boat, went back over to Wally World, and picked up a brand new one that is dated May 2024.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I exchanged the other one. There's a quart charge. You get $12 back when you return the old one.
Yeah.
So now I have a brand new battery. I'm going to drop in there later after the show,
Mm-hmm.
make sure it's all charged up, and then we can take it out. Me and my neighbor will go out into Holiday Park and go drive
So,
up and down the
so
canal.
last week, because we were talking about the sludge that Mike the Mariner found in his buddy's
Exactly.
boat that created an issue, you went to check that out and realized that was fine. You got that covered, but your battery was toast.
Yes.
And just for the record, you didn't taste the battery. You didn't
Nope.
smell the battery. Any foul
Nope.
smell associated with the battery. That's only associated with the gas.
That's right. I only sniff the gas.
And
as
drink
long
it.
as it doesn't come
Yeah.
out of your, well, we won't say it.
Uh huh. Oh boy. Well, I don't know if sour is a smell. Is this? Is
Yes,
that a
Mikey.
smell?
Mm.
I don't know.
Sour. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well,
quick question for you,
Yeah.
Barry. So, is your motor carbureted or fuel injected?
Carbureted.
Okay. So, and it's been sitting for quite some time.
I run it
You-
dry. I run it dry before I put it away.
Okay. So you don't have any sludge in your carburetor.
No. So what I do is
Okay, good.
when I'm flushing it, I let it flush. And after about 15, 20 minutes of flushing, I just pull the fuel line and let it run until it dries out the
Good.
bowls.
So that'll
Okay.
be nice and
Yeah,
clean because
all
that
the
used to
float
get
bowls
me
are-
every once in a while on my
Yep.
older boat. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then if I know I'm going to store it for a long time, I'll pull the cowling off and I have fogging oil and I'll spray fogging oil in there. And that's fun because when you're running the engine, you shoot fogging oil in there.
Yeah.
It's like out of one of those old spy movies. You see all the smoke coming out of the exhaust.
What does this smell like, Barry? Please describe.
It smells like burnt oil.
Oh, okay. Is that a pleasant smell or one? that
Well,
you
I don't know. I
think
mean,
it's-
I've smelled things that you've cooked and you've burned.
Yeah.
So it's probably like that.
Okay, but is it good or bad? And your
I don't know.
nose.
Next
your
time-
nose knows.
I know what burnt oil smells like. I mean, I fixed my truck this past week too, because it was
Okay.
leaking oil. So it's no longer leaking oil. So you don't smell the burned oil as it would drip on the exhaust.
Okay.
These are smells you get to learn.
Yeah, this is
And-
all foreign to me. I think
Well,
he's
there's a-
talking another weird, strange, and
there's one more
mythical
service.
type of ability.
There's one more service that I got to do on the truck, and that's to change the rear end fluid.
Yeah.
And that has an most unusual smell, the oil that they use in there. So
Well, is that why
No-
you're changing it? Because like you went
No,
over
because
there
it-
and went, oh, that smells like terrible.
no,
fluid.
because I have
That should be-
216,000 miles on the truck, and I changed it once so far.
Okay.
It's time to change it again. I will keep a small jar of the used oil and bring it up to you.
Why?
And then I'll just, well, I'm going to open it up and then hide it somewhere in the studio so that you'll be able to enjoy the smell
no, there's
of
no
used
enjoyment. of-
hypoid
I'm not.
rear end oil.
I'm
Don't,
not
oil.
really
don't do
a fan.
that. He might think. Don't do that. He might think it's a shot. And
Yeah,
take a shot.
exactly.
He'll
Oh,
be really
whiskey. Here we
lubricated.
go.
Yeah,
in,
because
right?
you are supposed to, smell your booze before you shoot it.
Why?
Yeah, that's part of the experience. I mean, you should know this, Mister. I drink oil and gas
No,
and
I
God
don't-
knows what
I
else.
only sniff it. I don't drink it.
Oh, you sip
No.
it. Oh, you sip the
No,
gas.
I said drink it. I don't sip gas.
Well, you said you did.
No, you didn't hear
You-
me. You're
no.
getting old. You know
Mike,
that.
did he
that's why
say?
he slurs his word.
No, he said he smells the gas
I may
and
have.
then
I
and he
s-
tastes
I
it a
smelled
little
it.
bit.
No,
Yeah, that's
I
why he
don't
slurs
taste
his words.
What?
Okay. The
The
views
point is
expressed
that-
here on the World of Boating are those of completely insane individuals. Do not attempt to do any of this at home if you don't want to end up in bad shape. All right, we got more coming up. Or, AKA Barry the Boater. More coming up on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Be an explorer in the other 2/3 of your world. Be the buddy who takes the kids in the aquarium instead of just to it. Be adventurous. Be amazed. Be a diver.
Even Keatley wasn't ready for me, or anything that followed. Chased by a police department, led by his ex-girlfriend, and hunted by brain fork-wielding Fijian assassins, it's everything he can do to keep from getting locked up, killed, or worse. Kava Screw is available as an ebook for $2.99 at Amazon.com. Kava Screw. Put a brain fork in him. He's done.
Hosting a radio show about scuba diving and boating is one of the best gigs on the planet. It's actually part of my job to check out and report on cool new products I personally use to enhance my diving and boating adventures. However, I do believe in sharing the joy, and this is why we've added Nanook protective hard cases to our list of products you can now purchase on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Nanook cases are designed to protect the most sensitive equipment in the harshest environments. Underwater photographers, listen up. From their high-impact NK7 resin to their exclusive Power Claw latches, Nanook has raised the bar for those of you that demand the best protection for your gear. Plus, Nanook protective cases cost less than similar products currently on the market. The company has been around for over 15 years, but it's new to the U.S., so we've made a small number of Nanook cases available exclusively for you at a special introductory price on the merchandise page at scubaradio.com. Go there now and check out Nanook, the evolution of protection.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Batten down the hatches. Aye, aye, sir. Man the bowsprit. Stow the mizzen mast. Jibe the jib boom. Hoist the mainsail and lower the tattersail. Look sharp, lad. Pike the starboard, hatch the leeward. Thwarts and trim the scuppers of the port poop deck.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. Barry the Boater, Mike the Mariner rounding out the crew as we navigate the latest boating news and information and uncover facts about our crew that will surprise us. Even after, God knows, 15 years of doing this show, we find out that Barry the Boater has a knack for sniffing gas and can tell the difference between bad gas and good gas. Now, my wife says the same thing, but it's a totally different thing that she's talking about. But I decided during the commercial break, we probably ought to reach out to an expert, and that would be our good friend Jerry the Diver Guy, who has a lot of experience with, creating his own kind of rocket fuel up there in the mountains of Virginia. Jerry, what do you think? Can you tell the difference just by smelling gas if it's good or bad? What do you think?
Well, yes, you can tell.
Yeah?
That is true.
Really?
But my biggest question is why is Barry sniffing gas? That would explain a whole lot of stuff.
Well, how do you know? Yeah, you just said you can tell the difference. So what is it? What does bad gas smell like versus good gas? In your
let's
sniffer.
go back to the question that Barry's sniffing rear end oil.
Well,
that's
a personal issue that I don't know if we should get into, but I mean, you're an engine guy.
That does not sound right.
I know. But Jerry, look, you do a lot of stuff with engines. He's a kind of a part-time mechanic kind of guy. But you're telling me too that you can tell the difference between just smelling it, good gas and bad gas.
Yes, you can. It has a flat smell to it, a watery, watered down smell to it.
Okay, Barry says it's sour. It smells
sour.
Yeah, I don't even know what does sour smell like. I don't even know what that is.
It just doesn't smell the same as, again, the only way you'll ever know is
It's like
to,
buttermilk.
Find an old container of fuel.
All right. So Jerry says it smells flat. Like
the easiest way to do this and know the correct way that it's going to smell is go out there and get you a can of gas right now, pour a bucket of water in it, and you'll have the smell.
Okay. Well, you water it down. That's like you bring down the proof.
Ethanol, ethanol breaks down.
Okay.
And will give you a flat smell to it.
All right. Well, see, he's talking moonshine terms there, I think.
Well, no, he's talking about
ethanol.
all of our fuel is ethanol laced now.
Right.
Well,
but Jerry has a little bit more
free, fuel in your boat, Barry?
No, I put regular ethanol fuel in there. You know, the 10%. But I also use Stay-Built. I use a stabilizer in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you can get ethanol free fuel at like Racetrack and a couple of other
Wawa has that
stations.
Too. Okay.
Yeah. You might consider switching to that because if your boat sits for any period of time, the ethanol does separate and there is water in the ethanol, and that's
what happens is that your vent system, if you keep your fuel tank not filled and there's enough airspace in there, between the venting and the air in there, it'll draw moisture.
Yeah.
It does not matter about no airspace. Your ethanol will break down no matter what.
Uh-huh.
Well,
and water sinks. Water goes to the bottom of the tank. That's the issue. And then it hits your pickup.
Well, then I'll get it on the pickup when I start it up. But obviously, before I take it out, I'm going to pull it outside and run it for half an hour on the muffs.
and just put your snaz right up there to the thing. Well, it smells like good gas to me. Whoa!
I'm going to pour a little.
You got to smell the rear end part.
Well, yeah. Do you taste it, Jerry? Like Barry does? He took a little taste too. He said. And
that's called gear lube.
It's sucking on the gas line.
If Jerry's worked on vehicles, he knows what gear lube smells like. It has a unique smell.
Is that true, Jerry?
I know oil has a smell to it, but
you've never put that much thought into it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look, Jerry the diver guy is kind of an engine guy too, but he's kind of deferring to you, Barry, and your snaz when it comes.
All right.
He kind of. So you're saying there is a difference, but maybe Jerry or Barry is not describing it as well as you. You think it just goes flat.
I believe
some of its kick.
Wrong one.
He's been sniffing too much gas, is what he's saying. I think
could be.
I can translate hillbilly. You hear that, right?
Yeah. Just don't start moisturizing your skin with axle grease. Okay.
Yes.
Just
okay.
Don't do that.
All right. Well, Jerry, thanks for the heads up there, man.
Thanks, Jerry,
for the expertise. Yeah. I mean, he knows because that's the thing.
I'm going to hear about this through the Scuba Show for 2 hours now.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, you brought it up. We're gonna have to put Barry's nose through the smeller through a smell test.
Hey, there are people that make good money smelling stuff.
Excuse me,
cosmetic companies and things like that. And
really?
Food companies. Yeah.
Have you looked into
tasters,
this? Maybe you
professional tasters and sniffers.
All right. Well, evidently you got a
factory professional.
All right. Well, see, we learned stuff.
See, Mike knows the proper terminology too.
Yeah. Wait, say that again. What is it again?
Olfactory professional.
Really? Okay.
Olfactory professional. I just made that up. I don't know.
Yeah. Barry acted like
he thinks I'm really smart, but that's not necessarily the case.
Well, I mean, when you put it in perspective, when you're talking with Barry, I mean, you're talking about a guy who sniffs gas and someone who doesn't. So I think that's going to just build you up and make you that much smarter. You hear what I'm saying?
During the zombie apocalypse, you're going to have to know what vehicle you take, whether it has good gas in there or bad gas.
And if we don't have Barry, we're going to take a car with bad gas. Hey, Barry, go sniff the gas intake of this car.
Thanks.
Quick, before the zombies eat us.
That's right.
All right, so
you'll need me.
Barry has a role when the apocalypse happens for Mike and myself. So
you're gonna need me.
Yeah, evidently he's gonna be our smelling gas dog or oh boy.
It's important. You don't want to get out into the ocean somewhere and you start picking up this debris and it clogs up your fuel filter, and then heaven forbid you got to get towed back, especially when you get stormy weather and the seas are rolling and stuff like that. And then then you have a friend that talks about it on a radio show later.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, but are you going to be cruising? You're going to be cruising across the Gulf like your friend last week, and Barry's going to go, hey, something don't smell right. Like,
yeah.
No,
the thing is,
that's Greg.
Even when we're, but even when we're joking and talking about stuff like that, I mean, the fact is, it's a lesson learned, right? And you pass on those lessons, and you never know when, he ran that boat 600 miles without any trouble, and then the last 150 miles created the issue.
Yeah.
And what happened? The conditions changed, right? So, you never know when something like that could happen.
Right.
So that's why the battery was replaced.
Yeah.
It was 5 years old. It wasn't taking a charge. It probably would have started the engine, but it would have died.
Well, we just need Barry's nose, because his nose knows. That would help us. Maybe he'd pick up a sniff of something before it actually was problematic. All right, more coming up. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network.
Traffic sucks, unless you're scuba diving with Mike Scott.
Mike glanced down at his dive computer. It showed less than 50 PSI left in his tank. Probably just a few more breaths.
Or riding shotgun in a thrilling car chase.
One bullet hit the Jeep's windshield, spiderwebbing the passenger side. Mike shifted into second gear and felt the Jeep leap forward. This just got serious.
Escape your commute with audiobooks from author Eric Douglas. Download to your phone. Go to booksbyeric.com or audible.com.
Do you have a message or product you need to share with the boating world? Well, look no further than the World of Boating radio show. Just like you, thousands of boating enthusiasts are hearing this message, and we could be talking about you and your product or service as early as next Saturday. Remember, a terrible thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing. Go to worldofboating.com, send us an email, and let's get to work to make your marketing message matter.
Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Come on, Williams, what are you standing around for here? Get on board.
Get on board. Don't fret. Don't try to worry.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate, Barry the Boater, Mike the Mariner rounding out the crew as we navigate the latest boating news and information. All right, besides Barry Super Smeller, we got some other stories we want to cover. I think, we've had we had a pretty bad incident that happened with a wakeboarder. Where down in South Florida by you there, Barry?
Yeah.
And, I mean, the moral of this tragedy, I believe, is just, keep your head on a swivel, maybe. I don't know. Explain what exactly happened, Barry. What was it?
Okay, so there was a boat with wakeboarders on it, and they were in an area that's very busy. You have a channel that's not far away where boats use it to go, somewhat northeast and southwest.
Yeah.
And it's along the Key Biscayne area. So you have an area where people wakeboard and water ski, and then you have an area where boats transit. And apparently this young lady who was wakeboarding fell, and she was waiting in the water and to get picked up. And another boat came by, a large, I don't know what the length of it was, but it had 4 massive engines on it, a large center console, driven by apparently one person. And he hit her.
Man,
but he didn't know it.
Yeah.
He didn't see her. From what I've read so far, the conditions were a little bit rough out there in the bay. It's a fairly large boat with 4 motors running. He could have hit something and never known it.
Right.
Because
two takeaways. One is if you're water skiing, wakeboarding, scuba diving, we have this problem with the stand by your dive flag, and that sometimes that doesn't help either.
Yeah,
but wear some those life preservers, get the brightest color possible. So at least maybe you would have the chance of standing out a little bit more in the water column if you're floating there waiting for your water ski or wakeboard pickup. I mean, I've been in that situation before where I felt kind of vulnerable, like I'm just floating out here by myself. Anybody, if they weren't paying attention, or like you said, the waves were a little bit rough and the guy wasn't really, he was just cruising through, and isn't expecting to see anybody. No, not giving him a pass. I mean, obviously, that's the other side of this. Like, you're the captain of the boat. You got to always keep your head on a swivel, right, Mike? I mean, there's no way to get around that particular issue, I don't think.
Sure,
is there?
Sure. And no, and I'll tell you this. There are those that will immediately say, okay, this guy had a big, nice boat. He was out there going crazy and doing things. Look, the fact is, boating has some inherent risks in it for a lot of different reasons. How many people have been running through a river or a basin or a bay and picked up a crab pot on their prop? Well, if you did that, you missed the buoy that was sitting in the water.
Right.
You didn't see it, right? And then you're surprised because you've got a line wrapped around your prop. You didn't see it. In rough seas or choppy waters, it could be the sun glare, whatever. You're not going to see every detail necessarily. So those that have talked bad about the guy and this is a tragedy, but those that have talked bad about the guy, you don't know what he saw.
Right.
And you can't really pass judgment until the investigation is clear. From everything I read, when they knocked on his door, he was in
no idea.
Shock, had no idea it ever happened.
Right.
And so I would just caution people to think about the fact that you can't see everything.
Right.
I've hit things in my boat before and looked back and went, wow, I did not see that.
Right.
I had no idea that, that was
you
there.
thought you were paying attention, and then something just caught you off guard, or you looked away for half a second. I mean, it can happen for sure. And you're right. Despite what the particular situation is with this guy, whether he ends up getting charged with something. I mean, look, even if he doesn't, I mean, just that personal, feeling or the fact that you realize you hit someone and they died. I mean, that has to be, that's a serious gut check, and you feel terrible, and you kind of feel for everybody, the victim and the guy.
The victim and the victim's family. I mean, it's an absolute tragedy.
You just don't want to have that happen to you. So you got to do whatever you can to minimize that risk. And I think Barry the boater agrees with that too. Is that right, Barry?
Oh yeah. I mean, as divers, we try to do that. When we dive on a dive boat, they give us flags that are about twice the size of what we would normally buy in a store. And also, if we come up without a dive flag, we have these inflatable safety sausages that are bright orange that we're supposed to inflate and hold that above us. Because if you've ever been in a boat in rough weather, you can't see someone when they're bobbing up and down the water, especially if they don't have bright colors on.
Yeah.
So I know what that's like.
Well, and that's why I said, if you have a personal flotation device on your boat, when you go to the store to buy these things, get the brightest color you possibly can.
You don't want camouflage. You want something bright, orange, yellow, red,
as gaudy and obnoxious looking as possible. Because, like you said, you need something that stands out. And I think a lot of people, you don't really think about that necessarily when you're buying these things. I know, I would just look at it like, well, I want something that's comfortable, and hey, if it looks cool, that's good too. But then, you hear stories like this, like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And get something bright orange and flashy, flamboyant, whatever it takes.
Right. Well, true safety gear will be the proper color. It's the ones that are the, like jet ski jackets and, things like that are a little more stylish. Usually those are pretty loud too, but I've seen, black and gray, and I've seen things like that. And that's not a color I would wear if I was out on the water on a watercraft or.
There may be more to the story as it breaks, as they gather all the details. They've released some video that shows him when he was coming back in, and he didn't look like he was flustered or anything when he was docking his boat.
Yeah.
They said something to the effect that the boat that was towing this young lady was not really meant for towing people on the surfboard type, the wakeboards. It wasn't designed for it. It was a big boat with too many people aboard, whereas a wake boat I think is smaller and is designed that you would have a spotter and you would be able to whip around quick and get the person that's sitting in the water.
Yeah,
and I've towed my kids water skiing, and I did the same thing.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. You just mentioned a spotter. So when you are towing someone on a wakeboard or skiing, you are supposed to have a spotter on the boat.
Yeah.
And one of my preferences when I'm operating my boat, if I'm not on the boat alone, and there have been times when I've run this boat alone, but I always want to have a second set of eyes. So especially when we're going into an area that's congested. Maybe a narrow channel or areas where there are crab pots or things like that. Colleen will always be up on the helm, usually with binoculars, second set of eyes, pointing out things that I may not see.
Camera phone, in case you get that special wipeout moment that you want to put up on YouTube.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That and the backflip you do off the boat.
Right. I mean, it's kind of, you can look at it both ways. You're doing it for, to get the viral video, but also it's an extra added safety element for sure. But look at it that way. Yeah. And it's like Safe Boating Week. Is that what's going on? Or
yeah, it's starting today. So that's
May 18th.
So that's why we wanted to cover this story to a certain extent. And like I said, the takeaway, wear bright colored PFDs and just keep your head on a swivel so you don't end up being in the news, unfortunately, like those folks. All right, more coming up on the World of Boating. Stay close.
You're listening to the World of Boating Radio Network. Successfully navigated the Sea of Commerce and now are clear to cruise with the World of Boating.
I do like the water.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
The sun, the sea air, good friends.
Brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
The word ship is hidden inside the word leadership as its derivation. So, if this office is, in fact, a ship, as its leader, I am the captain. But we're all in the same boat.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Captain, please, can you see my fire? Message in a bottle, starboard side.
This is the World of Boating. Greg, your first mate. Barry the boater, Mike the mariner, rounding out the crew. Okay, so Safe Boating Week started off this week. We had a nice
started
little
off
story.
Today.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, what does that lead into? What's coming up?
More safe boating? Or
well, besides that, I mean, this is Safe Boating Week.
Terrible boating week?
Why do they have it this week?
Unsafe boating week?
Season. It's the kickoff to boating season. Memorial weekend.
Yes,
there you go.
That's right. The official kickoff for
Mike,
the rest of the country.
The answer.
Yeah.
Greg, back into the corner for you.
Well, hey, we're all in Florida.
Well, hey,
we're year round here in Florida, but the rest of the country,
yeah.
For me, the winter is better boating.
Yeah,
it's been.
It's less crowded,
here.
Right? Is that the deal usually for you, Mike, or what?
No, the weather's better. I mean, it's not hot and muggy, and we had a pretty good winter, and like I've said before, the way I winterize my boat is just to make sure that the refrigerator's full of food and drinks and everything's ready to go. But
so many people now up north are cursing your name. But hey,
I know.
That's just how we boat in Florida. So
Well, it's been brutal down here. We're under a heat advisory today.
Yes, it is a bit warm. Yeah, it's the summer season is kicking in a little early, at least this weekend. But yeah, everybody's getting out there, so it's good to have that little reminder of getting back in the groove, especially if you've had your boat in storage for a while, you haven't been out on the water in a while. You're not alone, and you just got to be reminded about that sometimes.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that, especially people that have stored their boat over the winter, probably should just take a little extra. It's not just making sure that the fuel is good and the battery's charged and that you have enough life jackets and things like that. You do need to do a really good safety check of the systems on the boat. Make sure all of the fittings are nice and tight, and that none of the hoses are brittle, especially if you have a boat with an engine room or an engine, like an inboard, outboard, or an inboard boat. You want to make sure that you don't smell any fuel in those spaces where you could have developed a fuel leak.
Whether it smells good or bad. I had to get that in there.
Whether it smells good or bad.
And Greg, you need to check. Wait, he needs to check all his seacocks.
Okay, let's not go there. That's way to make it awkward,
term.
Barry.
No, that's a nautical term.
It's a proper nautical term.
Yeah, it's a proper nautical term. If you can't close it, that's a problem.
That is a problem. That is absolutely correct. You should exercise your seacocks.
All right, moving on.
I think he's blushing. I've never seen
it's actually a true term.
No, yes. I know it's a real term, but I also know
able to close them and open them.
It's also a good way to get in trouble with the FCC. So let's just move on.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, this is a good time to take stock and going
check
through your vessel.
Flares. Yeah, see if your flares have expired. You know that during Memorial Day weekend, you're going to have FWC out there. You're going to have the Coast Guard out there. You're going to have every city that has their own little boat police force along the Intracoastal is going to be out there, and they're going to be checking. They're going to say, hey, look, come on over. Let's have a talk. You have 20 people on your little 17-foot boat. How many life preservers do you have? And just be prepared to pay some money for those citations if you don't have it done right.
Well, or just do it right and make sure you have everything you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do.
So that's what you're supposed to do.
But Barry the boater leaves Memorial Day weekend to the amateurs. You don't like to go out in that mess, right?
Well, I used to go out in that mess, and then I just decided it wasn't worth the headache.
Yeah.
And it isn't so much the headache being out in the water. The headache. Headache, yeah.
Headache.
It's the headache that you have, not necessarily even when you leave the dock or leave the boat ramp, because I start out early. It's coming back, and then you have the big parking lot of boats out there just floating around. Everyone's trying to get in,
right?
So that they could, reload their boat back up and get out of there.
Hey, Memorial Day weekend, it's the kickoff to the boat dock Olympics. Just pull up a lawn chair. Next weekend will be a great time.
That's what I do. That's what I will do on that weekend is go over to the ramp, get my chair and an umbrella and a big cooler,
grab a beer,
and just sit back and watch the fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, there's so many YouTube channels covering this now. You guys watch any of that stuff?
Oh yeah.
It's mind-boggling how many arguments.
They give play-by-play as the boats are coming in. It says, well, this one's coming a little fast. There's some current. Does he know that he should take the other side of the dock instead of trying to push against the current? Nope, there he goes. He's floating away. He almost fell in that time.
Right.
Yeah.
No, most of it is people coming back in and like cutting.
Well,
cutting into the boat dock, or like, moving in front of someone else. Yeah. As they're trying to, get ready to, take their boat out, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yes,
and, hair pulling,
arguments, and,
pushing people off the dock. I mean, that is pure entertainment. I mean, what do you want?
It sounds like you watched it a few times.
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good time killer.
It's fun to watch, but it's still there's a lot of stupidity there.
Well, and Mike, you're going out. That doesn't hold you back, right?
No, we're going on a boat trip. We are going up towards Jacksonville, not all the way to Jacksonville, about 3/4 of the way to Jacksonville, to a resort marina that we like to go to. And we'll be away from all the craziness, really, because we just pull out of our marina, and then it's, underway for about 6 hours, and then we'll spend 2 days there, and then 6 hours back.
Right. And that's where the problem is at the boat docks. It's and maybe getting in and out of the marina a little bit, but not so much. It's really the weekend warriors that are pulling their boats in and out. Isn't that's the hot spots that you want to avoid, right?
When people see me leaving the marina, they generally stay out of my way because
like they're not going to win.
It has nothing to do with the 50 cal on his bow, does it?
Got 40,000 pounds of 40,000 pounds of fiberglass moving through. They get out of the way pretty quick. But no, and my boat, I do 16 knots at cruise, so I'm not breaking any speed records or anything like that. So it's we just nice leisurely pace, take in the sights, and motor our way north.
Oh, that sounds like the way
to repair. Do you have anything left on your repair?
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we did the air show, and we anchored out near Sanford Airport so we could see the Blue Angels, and lowered my anchor. Everything was good. We had another 40-footer pull up next to us and a couple of other boats. So we had kind of like a fiberglass island out there with about 30 people. And when everything was done, I hit the switch, nothing happened. So I had to pull the anchor up manually, and that was not easy. It was I had a lot of chain out, and so I'm replacing the windlass motor this week in preparation for the trip when we leave.
Yeah, it's just the motor burned up on you? Or
yeah.
It wasn't a battery thing. It wasn't bad gas that smelled funky.
No. It was
just the motor.
It's the motor.
What did the motor smell like? I wonder if Barry can. Just burnt.
I'm sure it smelled burnt, but I didn't smell it because it's all the way out of the bow.
Barry wasn't on board.
Bridge.
You didn't have your own boat sniffer. Barry the boat sniffer.
Yeah, thank you.
After all these years, you learned stuff about our crew that we probably wish we didn't. But on that note, we're going to wrap it up for this week. Till next time, remember, whether it's sail or motor,
life is better as a boater.
Safe boating, everyone.
Barnacle-bitten swab.
World of Boating is brought to you by worldofboating.com, your internet portal for the boating enthusiast.
Any of this getting through to you, son?
World of Boating is a production of Overboard Entertainment Incorporated.
Computer standing by.
Remember, you can listen live or to archives of past shows worldwide over the internet at worldofboating.com.
Computers can do that?
So tell a friend and come aboard every week for the World of Boating.
This is so great. I can't wait. I'm getting goosebumps. Feel me.
The radio show devoted exclusively to the boating lifestyle.
TTFN, ta-ta for now.
The opinions you just heard on the World of Boating are those of the hosts, callers, and guests. They are not necessarily those of any station or network, its management, or advertisers.
What are you being such a weenie for?
While on the water, your safety and the safety of many others depends on you. So boat smart and operate your vessel only after receiving the proper training and instruction for your area.
There is a fine line between genius and madness.
Have any questions or comments? Feel free to do so via the web at worldofboating.com.